What a year it has been. It's nice just to sit down here for a second or two, and I wanted to film this in the garage here even though it's the middle of winter and currently snowing outside, because I've spent so much time in here over the course of the last kind of 12 to 18 months and done a ton of my thinking, my planning, all that type of stuff out here. And so for today's video, what I wanted to walk through is basically just kind of like 5 of my reflections on the first 12 months or so of launching, creating, and now building Mind and Soil. And so this is gonna be a bit of a different video in that there won't be any gardening content in here. So if you're looking for gardening tips, education, etc., this isn't the video. But if you're curious to kind of see behind the curtain or under the hood on what it's been like to start Mind and Soil, to be running Mind and Soil, and to be building Mind and Soil, then I wanted to share really transparently and really vulnerably a little bit around what the first year has been like, because there's been tons of amazing things and also tons of really, really challenging times for me over the course of these past 12 months here. So with that being said, I encourage you to actually probably pause the video in just a second to kick back and relax. And one thing that I'd recommend is actually printing out our coloring book and just kind of doodling, coloring while you listen, because it's going to be primarily audio as I chat through things today. I'll cut to a little bit of coloring, but that'd be a nice way for you to be able to go about it and get a little bit of coloring in while I give you the rundown on the first 12 months of Mind and Soil. So let's dive in. So the first big reflection I'd say that has come to me and been coming back to me over the course of the last few weeks is that, 12 months ago I had no idea what was going to happen, if this was going to resonate at all. And now at this point, after 12 months of creating and building Mind and Soil, I feel like we have really, really amazing, what I would call kind of like mission market fit. So not even getting into like product market fit or anything along those lines just yet, but rather the mission of bringing gardening's mental health benefits and mindful gardening to 1 million individuals. To me, it feels like it has massively, massively resonated with individuals and with the community. And the number of messages that we get on a weekly basis of individuals sharing how we've helped them, how we provided light and hope to them, or just the experiences with gardening that they've already had and how much of an advocate and believer they are in mindful gardening, has been really, really, really reassuring and just amazing to feel that, I'm not alone on how amazing this feels, and there's a lot of people that really, really care about this. And one of the reasons why this matters so much to me, or why I feel this is so important, is because that kind of concept of mission market fit, that's something that really, really endures, right? That's not going away at the end of a gardening season or at the end of a calendar year. Mindful gardening and gardening's mental health benefits is something that's going to be here for years and years and years to come. And so it kind of alleviates a little bit of time pressure, because it's like, okay, we're in the right arena. Now it's a matter of figuring out how do we want to go about playing within this space and making what kind of impact. And so having that connection, hearing so many of the stories from individuals on what gardening has meant to them and how it has helped them, has been just such an absolute highlight from this first year of creating and building Mind and Soil. Now, the second reflection that I have is kind of in the similar vein to that, and that is that finding individuals that are aligned with that vision of mindful gardening and bringing it to 1 million individuals has been one of the coolest things to feel and to experience over the course of this last year. And so I've had the opportunity to bring in a couple of individuals, Mike, my business partner on the company, Ashley on the photography front, and these are both individuals who originally came across and into Mind and Soil as community members or customers, and really, really resonated with gardening and just the mindful side to gardening. And so rather than focusing on finding, the absolutely most qualified or skilled individual in a certain area, I've shifted all of my focus towards, I want to find people that care about this in the same way that I do, and let's get those individuals into the mix. So when we think about kind of right person, right role, definitely need to make sure that we're getting them in the right role. But first and foremost, way before that by a mile, is let's find the right person that really deeply cares about what it is that we're building. And so having come across some individuals through our community that have now gotten involved in building and growing Mind and Soil has been just such a fun feeling, and just so cool to be able to center ourselves around this common shared belief and mission, and use that as kind of like our North Star to be guiding all of our decisions from. And that's definitely a lesson and reflection that I'm taking from this first year and going to be applying into the years to come here. So getting into the third reflection that I have, and I guess this is where it's been a little bit challenging, is that I'd say pretty much in every single way, I can't even think of a way that we did not exceed kind of expectations and everything that I had hoped and dreamt of over the course of this year. It's been literally so amazing on that front. But coming back to point number 2, we've brought some individuals on board and we're building and growing, and with that come all the costs, such as putting up a tent in the front yard that just collapsed about 3 days after putting it up. And with that, there's a level of, I guess, just cash flow and financial pressure that I feel as the leader of the business. You know, at this point, for us to be fueling the business with the cash that it needs, it requires about $250,000 to cover all the bills and expenses and costs of goods and all that good stuff. And so that financial pressure, it weighs on me a good amount. You know, at the beginning of this journey, I took $51,300 of my own personal savings, put it aside to begin building this, working on this, and effectively used up all of that. But then I've also needed to extend onto a line of credit and begin utilizing a loan to cover some of the bills through the short or the off season right now. And so there's a lot of moments in there where like the only piece about building and creating and building Mind and Soil that's been challenging has been grappling and dancing with this financial pressure that's in there. And it's a tricky one for me because in my mind, you know, on one side of the coin, I feel this financial pressure and I feel anxious around it. And I kind of tell myself, like, you know, we could alleviate this by, you know, me picking up part-time work, reducing some of our expenses here and there. Like, I know that there are ways to be able to go about doing that. But then I also like see the other side of the coin where it's like, well, there's always going to be some financial pressure. So is this just my work to be doing as the leader of this business to get comfortable with it and to find ways through it? And so I can see kind of like pros and cons to each of them. And I guess because of that, it results in a little bit of me kind of dancing around in my head, not being entirely sure what are the right decisions that we should be making, and how should we be going about growing things, and at what speed should we be doing it. Should we slow down? Should we speed up? Should we decrease some of the financial pressure that we're having? Should we kind of, you know, just strap in, buckle up, and push through it? Those have been like really challenging questions for me to dance with and play with and figure out over the course of this year. And if anybody is curious to like take a deeper dive into the business and would be curious to kind of hear my thoughts on that front, like I'm more than happy to shed a ton of light on what we're up to, where we're at, what we're going to be doing over the course of the next year, if that would be a video that would be of interest to anybody on that front. So yeah, you know, there's definitely, as kind of amazing and out of my wildest expectations as this first year has been, there's also been a lot of challenges on that front and just grappling with that financial pressure side. And so that leads to the fourth reflection, which is one that I've found a lot of solace in over the course of this year. And that's just kind of like when I'm in the weeds and when I'm really, you know, maybe a little bit stressed or anxious around where we're at, is to just kind of pause for a minute, slow down, and zoom out to look at, one, where we've already gotten to, and two, like what all is ahead of us if we continue to work away at this over the course of the coming next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And that's where there's this quote that, you know, has also provided me just a great deal of comfort, where it's along the lines of, individuals, we really overestimate the amount that we can accomplish in 1 year, but drastically underestimate how much we can accomplish in 10 years. And that just feels so true to us, where we're at, and in line with kind of the previous reflections that I've shared, in that, we, from what I feel, have this amazing mission market fit that is not going anywhere over the course of the next month or 2 months. And we've got amazing individuals on board, and we've got ways that we're able to kind of change, alter, move around that financial pressure. And so what's most important is that we continue to move forward and to continue to exert ourselves on this mission of bringing mindful gardening and gardening's mental health benefits to 1 million individuals, because it's that accumulation and that compounding of our effort year over year, month over month, week over week, day over day, that really begins to add up as we zoom out from being in those weeds and begin to look at things on a bit of a longer time scale, both looking backwards and looking forwards. So in any of those moments where I've been feeling really stressed, I've kind of come back to that quote where it's like, just like, things are going to be a little bit tough in here, and maybe some things need to change or alleviate some of that financial pressure. But what's most critical, most important, is that we continue to exert energy and effort in driving forward this mission of bringing mindful gardening to 1 million individuals. And so that brings us to the fifth and final reflection. But I guess just before we dive into that, if any of you are kind of newer to the channel here, I'm Jordan and the founder of Mind and Soil. Founded it in December of 2020, so we're just doing a quick 1-year reflection here. But what we're looking to accomplish is introducing 1 million individuals to mindful gardening. We want to help you feel just how peaceful, how calming, how soothing gardening can be. So if you're looking for any of those, more peacefulness, more calming, more restoration in your life, then I would really, it would mean the world to me if you subscribed and you came grow with us over the course of the season ahead here. And so the fifth and final kind of reflection that's really resonated with me over the course of this past year of creating Mind and Soil and building it has been this concept of Kaizen. And this is the Japanese philosophy of just getting 1% better each and every day. And again, in those moments where I can feel like, oh my gosh, like we're still so far from 1 million individuals, even though it's hardly like something that I even think about because it's so early on, or we're not moving fast enough, or there's a challenge here, challenge there, would I come back to what's within our control and how do we get it just 1% better this day? And then the next day, how do we get it 1% better, 1% better? I've found that to be so incredibly just comforting and calming. And, kind of, I guess, dovetailing off of that third and fourth reflections there, is that if we're continuing to exert energy and effort on this mission, and we're doing so intelligently and in a way where we're trying to do it more effectively, more efficiently, just 1% better each and every day, then that is also going to compound and drive us forward and closer towards that goal. I already, only 6 months ago, look back at the first videos that we put together for, it wasn't even on YouTube at that time, it was on Thinkific, and they were like absolutely miserable relative to where we're at now. And that's because each and every day we would send an email back and forth just talking through what's one thing that we got 1% better this day. And we look at, say, these videos, there are all these minor little learnings and tweaks and changes, adjustments, improvements that I had been trying to make over the course of the 6 months, to whereby we're now at a place where I'm really proud of what we're already putting out on our YouTube channel here. And when I, again, kind of time travel forward 12 months to what this conversation is going to look like at the end of 2022, I get like goosebumps thinking about, say, from a YouTube and video perspective, what it's going to look like. But even more so from a mission and from an overall Mind and Soil perspective, where we're going to be and what we're going to have accomplished at that point in time. So that concept of Kaizen has been just another like really calming piece to keep us really, really focused and present in the moment this first year of building and creating Mind and Soil. So as you can probably tell there towards the end, I'm really excited about what we have ahead of us for 2022. There's definitely a level of angst and worry just in terms of financially, how are we going to make it work? Again, we need to kind of figure out how to generate $250,000 worth of business to continue to operate in the means that we are right now. But when I go back 1 year and think through what I was hoping to accomplish, which was $50,000 in revenue for the first year, and we've done nearly 3 times that, and I had no idea at that point in time how on earth to even get to 50,000. So I'm going to not stress or worry too much about that just right now, but rather keep my head down on continuing to build Mind and Soil with the team around me here. And on that front, the one thing that I would kind of, I guess, wrap up with is that in any of those moments where things are challenging or tough, or we're just going through a one of those weeks where you're kind of in the just in the grind of it and in the trenches, it is all of the messages that we get from each and every one of you, whether that's a comment on a YouTube video, whether that's a direct message on our Instagram account. It's those messages of encouragement saying how much you appreciate what we're doing, how we've brought light, hope, value to your life, or even just what gardening means to you, that immediately fires us right back up to get right back to work, continuing to put energy and effort towards building Mind and Soil. And so I'm really excited for what this video is going to look like in a year from now, and what we're going to be chatting about, and what the amazing wins have been, and what the really tough, challenging losses or hiccups and kind of little road bumps along the way have been. And outside of that, I'd love to continue this conversation down in the comments. So if you have any thoughts, any observations, any words of encouragement, please do share those down in the comments. I absolutely love reading each and every one of them and responding to each and every one of them. So that's all for right now. We'll catch you on the videos coming up over the course of the coming year. I'm really looking forward to sharing whatever this video is going to be in a year from now. And as mentioned at the very beginning, I really encourage you to go check out the coloring book. The link to it is down in the description. Super fun way to also slow down a little bit through the holidays and get a little bit of time just to reflect and think on the year that was and the year that is ahead. So that's all for now. I'll catch you on the next one.